Can you imagine dedicating years of your life, pouring your heart, soul, and every spare penny into a dream, only for someone you trusted implicitly to steal it right out from under you? That's exactly what happened to me. And for a long time, I wondered if I was wrong for what I did next. I mean, when someone tries to bury you, do you just lie there and accept it, or do you dig yourself out and build an empire on the very dirt they threw on you? Tell me, would you have done the same thing, or would you have just walked away from years of hard work and a life-changing opportunity? It all started back when I was just a kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old. My grandma, bless her heart, was a phenomenal baker, but she had this one secret recipe for a kind of artisanal, gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free cookie that tasted like pure magic. It was a cookie for everyone, a cookie that defied all the limitations of allergies and dietary restrictions, yet still delivered on flavor. She'd always say, "Sweetheart, this isn't just a cookie, it's a hug you can eat." And she was right. I remember spending countless afternoons in her kitchen, the warm, comforting scent of vanilla and subtle spices filling the air, watching her meticulously measure and mix. She never wrote it down, not truly. It was all in her hands, her instincts, her heart. As she got older and her memory started to fade, I became her apprentice, determined to capture that magic. I'd stand beside her taking notes, observing every tiny nuance, every secret ingredient, every subtle adjustment she made based on the weather or the batch of ingredients. It was more than just a recipe. It was a legacy, a piece of her I desperately wanted to preserve. This wasn't just about baking. It was about honoring her, about keeping that hug you can eat alive. Fast forward about 15 years. I was in my early 20s, fresh out of college, burdened with student debt, and working a soul-crushing retail job that paid just enough to cover rent and instant noodles. But my dream, my grandma's cookie, never left me. I spent every evening and weekend in my tiny apartment kitchen, experimenting, refining, trying to perfectly replicate that elusive taste. It was an obsession. I bought every obscure ingredient, invested in specialized equipment, and endured countless failed batches. My apartment often smelled like a burnt offering, much to the chagrin of my downstairs neighbors. But slowly, painstakingly, I started to get it right. I started making small batches for friends and family, and the reactions were always the same. Eyes widening. "Oh my God, what is this?" Followed by demands for more. They couldn't believe something so delicious could be free of so many common allergens. That's when the little spark of an idea started to grow into a roaring fire. I could turn this into a business. I could share my grandma's hug with the world. During this time, my best friend Chloe was my biggest cheerleader. Or so I thought. We'd been inseparable since kindergarten. We shared everything, secrets, dreams, even our last cookie. She was like a sister to me, the kind of friend you think will stand by you no matter what. I confided everything in her about my cookie venture. I told her about my grandma's secret recipe, the years I'd spent perfecting it, my vision for a brand that celebrated inclusivity and deliciousness. I even brought her into my tiny kitchen, let her watch me bake, explained the intricate steps, and talked through my branding ideas, my marketing strategies, my financial projections, my dream of opening a small boutique bakery, then expanding nationally. She was always enthusiastic, always saying things like, "This is brilliant, Jen. You're going to be huge." We'd spend hours late into the night, sketching logos on napkins, brainstorming catchy names, and dreaming about the day my cookies would be on shelves everywhere. She even helped me with some of the initial market research, surveying people about their dietary needs and preferences. I trusted her implicitly. I told her the specific suppliers I was planning to use for my unique ingredients, the specialized equipment I needed, even the challenges I faced with sourcing certain components. It wasn't just a friendship. It was a partnership of dreams, at least in my mind. I was working 2 jobs, saving every penny, and taking out small, high-interest loans just to get my business off the ground. It was slow, arduous work. I was handling everything myself, from baking to packaging to trying to navigate the complex world of food regulations and business permits. I was exhausted, stressed, but incredibly driven. This wasn't just a business. It was my future, my legacy, my way of honoring my grandma. I was weeks away from launching my official website. My packaging was being finalized, and I had even secured a small local farmer's market stall to test the waters. Everything was falling into place, or so I believed. I was so excited, so close to seeing my vision become a reality. Chloe was there through it all, offering moral support, occasionally helping me pack orders for friends, and generally being the enthusiastic friend I thought I needed. She even helped me refine my pitch for potential investors, offering critiques and suggestions that I genuinely valued. I considered her a vital part of my support system, a trusted confidant. Then came the day my world shattered. I was scrolling through social media, taking a much-needed break from another late night of baking when I saw it. An ad. A professional, sleek, beautifully designed ad for a new cookie company. My heart literally stopped. The branding was eerily similar to what Chloe and I had discussed. The tagline, the color scheme, even the specific language used to describe the cookies. It all felt like a twisted reflection of my own vision. And then I saw the product. The hug cookie. My grandma's phrase. My jaw dropped. It was a line of artisanal, gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free cookies. And the founder, the smiling, confident face plastered all over the ad, Chloe, my best friend. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of disbelief, betrayal, and a sickening dread. It couldn't be. It had to be a coincidence, a misunderstanding. But as I clicked through to her website, a professional, fully functional e-commerce site, complete with high-quality product photography and glowing testimonials, the truth hit me like a physical blow. She had done it. She had stolen my entire concept, my grandma's recipe, my years of hard work, my dream. She had launched before me, using all the information I had so freely shared with her. The product descriptions mentioned specific hard-to-source ingredients that I had only discussed with her. She had even used the exact supplier I was planning to use for my custom packaging. It wasn't just an idea. It was my entire business, cloned and presented as her own. I felt a cold rage settle over me, a feeling so intense I could barely breathe. My hands trembled as I dialed her number. She picked up, her voice chipper, oblivious. "Hey, Jen. What's up?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but it cracked. "Chloe, what is this? What have you done?" There was a beat of silence, then a sigh. A calculated, rehearsed sigh. "Oh, you saw my new venture. Isn't it exciting? I've been working so hard on it." "Your venture?" "This is my venture, Chloe. This is my grandma's recipe. We talked about all of this. You stole my idea, my branding, everything." Her voice hardened. "Stole?" "Jen, ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is everything. You were taking too long. Someone had to do it. Besides, your grandma's recipe? It's just a cookie recipe. You can't copyright a cookie, Jen." The audacity, the sheer coldness in her voice gutted me. She wasn't remorseful. She was dismissive, almost smug. She tried to spin it, claiming I was too slow, too hesitant, that she was just making it happen. She even had the gall to suggest I should be grateful she was bringing our idea to life. She twisted the knife even further, mentioning how she'd already secured a major distribution deal, something I had only dreamed of. She essentially told me to give up, that she had already won. The conversation ended with me hanging up, tears streaming down my face, not just from the betrayal, but from the realization that the person I considered my sister was capable of such a cruel, calculated act. My dream felt dead, suffocated by her treachery. For days I was a wreck. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. The pain of her betrayal was a physical ache in my chest. I looked at all my meticulously planned packaging, my perfectly baked cookies sitting on the counter, and it all felt tainted, worthless. How could I compete? She had better funding, better connections, and she had launched first, stealing my thunder and my unique selling proposition. Every time I thought about giving up, about throwing in the towel, I saw my grandma's face, heard her gentle voice. "This isn't just a cookie. It's a hug." And I knew I couldn't let Chloe erase that. I couldn't let her take away something that meant so much to me, something that was a part of my family's legacy. I knew I had two choices: crumble under the weight of her betrayal or rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined than ever. I started researching furiously. I looked into intellectual property law, trade secrets, anything that could give me an edge. I spoke to lawyers, but the consensus was grim. Without a formal partnership agreement or specific copyright protection on the recipe itself, proving theft would be incredibly difficult and expensive, especially against someone who had already secured significant funding. It felt like a dead end, a hopeless battle. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have fought, even against impossible odds, or would you have cut your losses and moved on? After days of agonizing, of feeling utterly defeated, a different kind of resolve started to harden within me. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about principle, about justice, about honoring my grandma. I couldn't let her win. But I also knew I couldn't fight her on her terms. I didn't have the resources for a protracted legal battle. I needed a different strategy, something that would hit her where it hurt the most, her business. I started by doing a deep dive into her brand. While her website and marketing looked polished, I noticed a subtle, almost imperceptible difference in her product photos compared to my actual cookies. Something was off. Her cookies, while visually appealing, lacked the distinctive texture and homemade charm that was the hallmark of my grandma's recipe. I knew why. My grandma's recipe had several incredibly unique, expensive, and difficult-to-source ingredients that were absolutely crucial to the taste and texture. I had spent months finding the right suppliers, and I highly doubted Chloe, in her rush to launch, had taken the time or expense to do the same. She had likely substituted cheaper, more readily available alternatives. This was my opening. I didn't try to replicate my grandma's recipe exactly for my comeback. I went back to the drawing board, armed with the knowledge of why her cookies were so special. I didn't just copy the old. I evolved it. I spent weeks in my kitchen, experimenting with even more exotic, high-quality, and ethically sourced ingredients. I didn't just want to make a better cookie. I wanted to make an unbeatable cookie. I focused on making my new recipe even more unique, even more delicious, and even more health-conscious. I found a new, even more obscure, natural sweetener that imparted a caramel-like depth and a specialized flour blend that gave an incredible chewiness. I developed a new line of flavors that were unheard of in the allergen-free market. Lavender white chocolate, maple chai, blood orange pistachio, with a nut-free alternative using roasted seeds. My new brand wasn't just the Hug Cookie, it was Essence Bakes, a name that reflected the pure, unadulterated quality and depth of flavor I was aiming for. I invested in premium, eco-friendly packaging that practically screamed luxury and sophistication. And I found a niche. Instead of going for mass market appeal like Chloe, I targeted high-end gourmet food stores and health-conscious specialty markets. My price point was higher, reflecting the superior ingredients and artisanal process. I wasn't just selling a cookie. I was selling an experience, a guilt-free indulgence. The launch of Essence Bakes was quiet at first, intentional. I used my savings to secure a few pop-up events at exclusive farmers markets and food festivals where I knew my target demographic would be. I offered free samples, told the story of my grandma, without mentioning Chloe directly, just focusing on the positive inspiration, and let the cookies speak for themselves. The response was immediate and overwhelming. People raved. They couldn't believe an allergen-free cookie could taste so good, so rich, so satisfying. The texture, the complex flavors, the pure ingredients, it was a revelation. Word spread like wildfire through the gourmet food community. Food bloggers started reaching out. Local publications wanted to do features. I leveraged social media strategically, focusing on beautifully shot product photos, behind-the-scenes glimpses of my meticulous baking process, and testimonials from delighted customers. My online store was carefully built, designed to convey elegance and quality. Meanwhile, Chloe's Hug Cookie brand, while initially successful, started to falter. The reviews began to reflect what I already knew. Her cookies were good, but they weren't great. Customers started complaining about the texture, the slightly artificial aftertaste, the lack of depth compared to the artisanal claims. She had expanded too quickly, compromising on quality to meet demand and cut costs. Her brand, built on a foundation of theft and cheap substitutes, couldn't sustain itself against genuine passion and superior product. The market, it turned out, was smarter than she gave it credit for. People could taste the difference. My big break came when a highly influential food critic, known for her discerning palate and brutal honesty, stumbled upon my booth at a gourmet food fair. She tried my lavender white chocolate cookie, her eyes widening with each bite. She wrote a glowing front-page review in a major city newspaper, calling Essence Bakes a masterpiece of allergen-free baking, a triumph of flavor over limitation, and specifically praising the unparalleled texture and sophisticated flavor profiles that elevate the humble cookie to an art form. The article went viral. Overnight, Essence Bakes exploded. My website crashed from the traffic. Orders poured in from all over the country. High-end grocery chains and luxury hotels started calling. begging to carry my products. I couldn't keep up with demand. I hired a small, dedicated team, moved into a proper commercial kitchen, and worked around the clock, fueled by caffeine and the sweet taste of vindication. The poetic justice of it all was almost too sweet. Chloe's Hug Cookie brand, which had launched with such fanfare, eventually crumbled under the weight of negative reviews and dwindling sales. She tried to pivot, tried to rebrand, but the initial trust was broken. People remembered the original reviews, and they remembered my brand, Essence Bakes, as the true innovator. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she eventually had to sell her business for a fraction of what she'd invested, a stark contrast to my booming success. She lost everything, not just financially, but her reputation and almost all of her friendships. I never spoke to her again directly, but the silence, the sheer absence of her in my life spoke volumes. I often wondered if she ever looked at my success and felt a pang of regret, a realization of what she had thrown away, what we could have built together, if only she hadn't chosen greed and betrayal. Today, Essence Bakes is a national brand, synonymous with quality, innovation, and delicious allergen-free treats. We have multiple production facilities, a dedicated research and development team, and our cookies are sold in thousands of stores across the country. I've been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and countless food magazines. I even received an award for innovation in the food industry. My grandma, if she were here, would be beaming. Every cookie we bake is still at its heart that hug you can eat, a legacy of love and determination. I made millions, yes, but more importantly, I built something authentic, something that brought joy to people, something that honored my roots. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about proving that integrity and hard work will always triumph over shortcuts and betrayal. So that's my story. It was a tough road, filled with heartbreak and anger, but ultimately, it taught me that true success comes from within, from your passion, your dedication, and your unwavering belief in yourself, even when others try to tear you down. I still wonder sometimes, was I wrong for letting her crash and burn while I soared? Or was that simply the natural consequence of her choices? Like this video if you were on my side and think I did the right thing. Subscribe for more stories like this where honesty and grit win in the end. And please share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you would have done differently, or if you agree with how I handled it. I'll see you all in the next story.